Well, hello there. I am Coach Dana Spencer, and welcome to the Dana Spencer Show, where we talk about solving problems, building relationships, quitting corporate, and the freedom to walk in your God given purpose. So I'm super excited today. We have the one and only Anthony Silver. Yay! Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Dana Spencer Show. So, what I want to do is ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us how real estate crossed your path.
Okay. My name is Tony Silver.
Okay.
I'm the owner of Red Door Properties Group, LLC. And uh, my path was I'm actually 13 years removed from a prison sentence.
Okay.
And once I was released, I knew that I was going to get into real estate. While in prison, I actually got a carpentry, I got certified carpenter and a construction electrician certificate.
Mm.
So I knew I was going to be in real estate some way or somehow, and I was blessed to get a good job, right out of the gate. And of course, it takes money. A lot of people say that no money down, start with no money down, but that's a unicorn. You have to be in it a while before you get to those days. So after getting a good job at Brown Forman, I was able to get capital and credit in order to the biggest thing. Of course, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, all of those books that are available to us, and so I came out with a pretty good foundation. But at the same time, it's nothing like doing it yourself.
So, how long did it take for you to initial knowledge?
The initial knowledge, like I said, all through prison, I read the books, but application was the key. And like I said, he was my mentor, and he had already had I think he had like 14 properties. He had some really nice pieces in Germantown, and
Mm,
he had some good appreciation in
yeah.
Germantown. So of course he's building it, and he's realized his dream. All of his kids have built their mansions on that property, and he calls it Morris Mountain now. His name is Bill Morris, and he calls it Morris Mountain, and all of his kids are successful.
So, how did seeing his vision inspire you? So, do you have a big vision for you and your family?
I do.
Okay.
I do nothing like that though.
I mean, your vision is your vision, right? It doesn't have to
It
be like
is,
somebody else's.
right,
It's
but
Tony's
it's
vision.
similar. It's similar.
Okay.
It's similar, but it's not on that scale. But he really showed me what was possible, because he, like I said, he didn't make a whole bunch of money. He worked for the state. He actually was in finance. He was in finance before he worked for the state, and then that was just too much for him when the ups and downs and the rigmarole of lending and funding and stuff like. So he had great knowledge of finance, and he actually was a professor at U of L on finance also, but he actually worked for the state. And now he's retired now, and he don't do anything.
Right. So you got out of prison. You got a good job at Brown Foreman,
Mm-hmm.
and then you were about to purchase your first piece of rental property.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Okay, I started at Brown Foreman in 2010. 2011, we bought our own personal home.
Okay.
Kept saving money, and I bought my first rental in 2014. Mm-hmm. At 2014, I did all the work myself, did everything wrong, over rehabbed for a rental, and we got a renter in there. Horrible experience with the first renter. I was a horrible landlord. I didn't set boundaries. I didn't follow up. I didn't send out letters. So it was hard. It was a learning curve. She knew more than me.
Oh.
So, I joke about that, but she was the very perfect first tenant. So we made it through. 2017 is when I formed my company. Red Door Property was born, and I'd already had I had the single family, the duplex, and another single family. So I had 4 doors at that time when I started the company, and then I started getting more business minded. After that, I got introduced to Chris McCarty.
Okay.
Chris McCarty, Flipping Loans. After a conversation with him, I decided, I could actually do some flips, with those types of terms in which he presented to me. I said I could probably do a flip. Right out the gate, we made a great investment. We bought a house. We bought it for $38,000. We put about $38,000 in it. Sold it for, I think, $97,000.
Okay.
So we made like $38,000 in 90 days. And from there on, we just kept going up.
Yeah. So you were sold on the concept. Yeah. $38,000. That'll sell you on just about any concept legally.
Yes. 38,098. Yeah. Especially when I was only making $52,000 a year at the time.
Right. Yeah. So tell us about that. So the first flip, you make about 38,000. You're making 52 at Brown Foreman. Mm-hmm. So how much longer do you stay at Brown Foreman?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'd probably still be at Brown Foreman had I not gotten fired.
Well,
but I right after that, we ended up separating from the company, and we ended up getting another job. But here's the thing. I was forced to take real estate seriously once I got fired. At that time, I was nowhere near prepared to be doing this full time. So I went from, $52,000 base salary with the potential of another $25,000 in overtime is what we were making. We were making about $75,000 to $80,000 a year. So I went from that to $17 an hour. I went and worked for a company briefly for a company called Foresea. I was making $17.80 an hour, and I was a supervisor. Yeah, I was like a warehouse supervisor, and I was thinking, okay, this would be the perfect job. I can just sit in the warehouse, and that's what they sold me on. And then, of course, when I got the warehouse cleaned up and organized, they started shutting down the warehouse, and I had to run parts to the line. They actually run parts for Ford. So I was like, I'm not going to stay here. So I was
not at $17.80 an hour.
No. So I was blessed to get another job at a company called LL Flex, a subsidiary to Reynolds Aluminum. And it was around $22 an hour. It was good to maintain, but I was doing the real estate really hard then. We were doing 4 or 5 flips a year. I started building up my rental portfolio, So when COVID hit and they started laying people off, I was actually prepared. So I think at that time, I think we had about 19 doors at that time when COVID hit, and I was the first one in the plant to get diagnosed with COVID. So that was a hell of a feeling, everybody's like, oh, wow. So
I know now you can't even sneeze in public.
No, and this was 2020,
right?
When I was diagnosed, so it was a scare. So but so I got laid off. And then, my wife said, well, why don't you just do the real estate full time? Because we had really done some really big things up until that point. And so we tried, and it's been 3 years now.
So what is it like managing? So you said 4 or 5 flips a year at one point. So in some people's minds, that sounds like a lot going on. That's a lot of moving pieces. How do you manage something like that?
You just do what needs to be done first,
Okay.
I mean, they're in various stages. So, you just, when you move people from one spot to another, once that plumber finishes over here, you tell them to go over here, once that electrician finishes here, you tell them to go here, at that time we had a really good nucleus of people. So it was a little easier, some people that were actually experienced. And, they can be my eyes and ears. They gave me suggestions of what needs to be done. And, I paid attention, like if the guy's doing demo, he makes sure that he de-nails everything. De-nailing means because when the guy comes for drywall, he's going to charge you extra if he have to get those screws and stuff out.
Okay.
So this guy was always looking out for me, saying, "No, you make sure that they do this. This is what to look for." So I got pretty good at that, knowing exactly what needs to be done and what's next. That baseline knowledge of construction made me be a better project manager.
Right. So you touched on plumbers, electricians, contractors. How do you find, this is $1 million question, right? And you're about to give me the $1 million answer.
Well,
how do you find good contractors that will show up and actually do the work that they said they were going to do?
That is the $1 million question, because today they might be good contractors. They might do 3 jobs for you really well. And then on the 4th job, they get overwhelmed. Once you understand that contractors are just people, the way I see it, there is an A, B, C, and D contractor. The A contractor is your people with the trucks, the commercials, all of those people. I never use an A contractor.
Oh, okay.
Because they're just priced too out. Their overhead is too high.
Because they got all them fancy trucks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody like Tom Drexler. I would never call Tom Drexler to do any plumbing for me because he's just too expensive.
Right.
I mean, he's doing bathrooms for $17,000.
Oh my, okay.
Yeah, so those are the people.
No shade on the people.
The B contractor,
okay,
is the guy that worked for Tom Drexler, saw how much money he was making, and decided to go out on his own and maybe formed his own company. Now he only might have 1 or 2 or maybe 3 trucks. Those are the guys that I gravitate towards. He's still fully insured. He still can stand behind his work. He's just not as big.
Okay.
He doesn't have a commercial. That's the thing. And then there's the C contractor. The C contractor is the person that actually knows how to do the work. He might have a truck. He doesn't have a company, but he can plumb, or he can do carpentry. He can do roofing.
Is he licensed? Okay.
He might not be a master plumber.
Okay.
He might be an apprentice or journeyman.
And he might be working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That guy. That you get better pricing that way.
Okay.
So if you can get someone to pull your permits, I mean, most of the time he knows a master plumber. He can work under his license, but you get better pricing. And then there's the D contractor. You never want a D contractor.
Okay.
Your D contractor, you're gonna have to go pick him up. You're gonna have to give him a pack of cigarettes. You have to go get your parts. and you have to make sure that you change the code the day after he leaves. So you don't ever want to deal with that guy.
Okay. I love that breakdown. So we want to stay with
BC.
this
I do BC.
Okay.
You know, it's a lot of people that are getting away with the A, you know, but I mean, they're doing more projects, but you know, they're not making the margins I'm making.
I think I start off with the C, and if the C won't call me back, then I go up to the B, and you're like, okay, when the resident is calling you like, hey, I really need you to get this done, then I might have to go ahead and call an A. Because at least an A pretty much can get over there the same day.
Okay, so you're talking about for like a rental.
Right, but just in general.
Okay, yeah, because when you're doing rehab, nothing is that timely. You don't need to have somebody over tomorrow. Now, if somebody's air is out, like yesterday, I had 2 people's airs out.
Mm-hmm.
I had to call some people that I didn't want to call because they're a little pricier.
Right.
And I called them because I know they can get out.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah.
So how do you? Sounds like you flip mostly. Do you hold anything?
Oh, I'm only flipping to get more rentals paid off quicker.
Okay, so tell us what your strategy is right now.
Okay, look at it like this. You know, if you're wholesaling, it's a small check. If you're flipping, it's a big check. And if you're doing rentals, it's a forever check.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
The key is to get as many rentals as possible to supplement your income, and you can live the lifestyle that you want to live.
Right.
You get all the benefits of owning real estate. You get all the appreciation. You get the rental is the cash flow, and they're paying down your mortgage. So that's what you want. But you just don't want to over leverage yourself. You want to have some balance. You want to have some, you know, the more you get paid off quicker, the quicker you get to your financial goals. So the only reason why I'm flipping is to get more rentals.
So tell us what you said. You don't want to over leverage yourself. Tell us what over leverage means.
Over leverage means when you owe, you don't have as much equity in all of your properties. Net worth is how much stuff is worth minus what you owe on it. So if you owe very little on it and you have tons of equity in it, you're in a lot better position in case there's a market turn. But if everything is mortgaged up to, say, 85%, right. Excuse me, you could be in trouble later on. So the key is to get as much equity inside your property. So when I'm doing rentals, it's just a little different. Most of my rentals are in the West End, and I try not to have no more than $70,000 inside the entire project. But my $70,000 product has a new roof, new plumbing, new electric, new HVAC, none of the big major expenses later on. So it's a really good product for $75,000, and hopefully I'll get the appreciation and the cash flow too.
So what does a good deal look like for you? You know, Anthony's looking for a deal. What constitutes a good deal?
Okay. I normally like to, ARV, which is the after repair value. I'm looking for something that that the purchase price plus the rehab is 65% of the ARV.
Okay.
That constitutes a good deal for me.
So easy math. The ARV is 100,000. You're all in at 65,000.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All in it. That's purchase and the rehab.
Purchase and rehab.
Purchase and rehab.
Okay.
So that means I have to buy that thing at 30,000 and put 35,000 in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or play around with that. Yeah, 20,000, yeah. Put 45 in
most of mine tend to be around 125 to 175 ARV.
Okay.
But just because of what I do with the property, and I have enough comps in the areas in which I work in to constitute those types of pricing.
So tell us why it's so important, and this is what I teach also. Tell us why it's so important to stay in a particular area. Because when you said, oh, I know my comps, why is it so important to not be all over the city?
Well, it works for me because my competitive advantage of someone who's trying to invest in the West End is I know every street. I know every street. I know every neighborhood. I know exactly what that house is going to be worth. And now I have enough proven product, with other investors who invested in the area. If I know that they had a house that sold for 175, and it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath at 1,500 square feet, I know that my 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath is going to be worth the same amount. And, none of the banks can do that finagling like they did when we were doing redlining. So we have the comps now. So we have the proven product. All you have to do is deliver on the product, which is a lot easier now than it was, 5 years ago when I started flipping in the West End. Yeah.
So do you think that you have to have certain skill sets in order to invest in real estate, or can everybody learn how to get started?
Everybody can learn. Everybody can learn. And I'm teaching my students that, of course, one of my students, I want to learn how to do drywall. And I was like, no, you don't. Why? Not unless you just want to do it at home. I mean, you'll never get proficient enough to actually do it for a living. If you ever see my Hispanic friends put up drywall, you'll be amazed. It's like going to a ballet. I mean, everybody's working. I mean, they're walking around on stilts. I mean, it's just so fast and it's in a hurry, and you'll never get that good. So why even waste your time? What you can do as an investor, because that's what you want to be. You want to be an investor. You get better at negotiating.
Oh,
Know exactly how much product costs. Okay, well, if learn how to do a layout more efficiently so it actually costs you less. I teach that because that's really important. The layout is important. If you wanted a bathroom over here and you wanted a bathroom over here, your plumber's going to say, yeah, we can do it. But what if you decided to put the bathroom on the other side of the other bathroom? Well, that's half the price.
right.
He didn't have to plumb 2 sides of the house. I know that when we go and negotiate the price. It's like, look, you're only doing one wall. It's the same stack. And it's all coming off the supply lines. Are all in the same area. Get him in and out. Every contractor wants to get in and out. Everyone, whether it's an A, B, C, or D, they want to get in and out. So if people wonder why this guy won't even come back, why he might come and look at the job. He's like, well, there's easier money someplace else.
Oh, that's the bar.
It's like, okay.
So they're looking for easy money.
They're
you putting a bathroom over here and a bathroom over here, that's hard money.
It is hard money. And if you don't know, if they can tell that you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be a problem at the end of the project. So the person that's going to, hold their, I mean, they can tell they're going to hold their feet to the fire. They're going to be changing stuff. So when I bring somebody in, I tell them this is the people that I work with, they know exactly what to expect. This is what we're going to do. We're not going to change it. This is it. I want it right here, right here, right here. And we're done. They know if they do that, they can get that done and get a check the next day.
That's so good.
Some people, and I've seen them, especially new investors. We're thinking about doing this, and this design, this is the first design, or this is the second design. And you tell us which one that you think will be. They ain't got time for that.
Oh.
Trust me. They're not going to call you back.
Mm.
Now, your Donna Hires or your Tom Drexlers, they'll be fine with that. Because you just turned a $15,000 bathroom into a $20,000 bathroom. They're fine with it.
Because of your different designs.
Yeah. Simple, easy. That's all of mine. All of mine is just simple and easy.
So do you have the same, for the most part, same countertop, same paint, same everything in each one of your renovations?
Paint, I do. Countertops is different. It depends on the layout. Flooring. I get good flooring and what's on sale. So the flooring would dictate what the countertops is.
Okay.
I only go with white cabinets. Simple, easy, white cabinets. I've done I used to restain cabinets and all that, and I was like, this is just too much. I mean, they were beautiful, but it was just too much. So just white cabinets. The layout it changes from house to house depending on what's going on. But white cabinets, we do different countertops. I really got a really good countertop guy. The paint. I've been using agreeable gray in all of my houses. Now I'm about to venture on to some new colors, but agreeable gray is that light gray that'll go with anything. That's why it's called agreeable gray. And then we might have an accent wall here or there, but other than that, it's all about the layout. It's all about the layout.
So what are some of the things that you do to add value to your properties?
Most of the time, like I'll buy a 2-1
Mm-hmm.
with the premise of I'm gonna make it a 3-2.
Yeah.
So there's your value there. If you notice the one that I'm doing now on Dale Park, we added an entire second floor. And we put 2 bedrooms.
But that's not simple.
That's not simple.
Okay.
That is not simple, but it was the best layout for this particular house.
Okay.
I did a house down the street from that same house, and we got a good comp there. It's a comp around the corner, so it works. It wasn't as difficult as I thought, even though it's the first time I've done it. It's not as difficult as I thought, but it's beautiful. It's going to be amazing. It's amazing.
Have you had any problems with, but it sounds like you probably haven't, but I'm asking you anyway. Have you had any problems? Because appraisals in the West End have been tricky. And you put
Not
so
on
much.
any of my flips.
Okay.
Refinancing, it's different. It's different. In multifamily, it's hard. I just recently, and actually I'm closing on a 4-plex refinance now, today when I leave here. And it was the most difficult one we've ever done because there's no comps for a 4-plex being sold in the West End
Right.
at a decent price. Now, most of the time, you'll find a 4-plex that was completely ran down and they sold it for $60,000. That's your only comp. Something that's completely up and running, has tenants, there's just no comps for it. So they can go out a little bit further, but of course, when you're doing an appraisal, it has to be this kind of like similar houses, the same year built, same finishes, same square footage, and it's just not enough comps. So you're at the mercy of the appraiser and the lender, and the lenders they want it to be appraised low, so they can. So it gives them less risk, because if there's really a $300,000 house or property and they appraise it at $250 and they're only doing 75% loan to value, so they're doing $187,000 on a $300,000 property, they would rather have that versus the $250.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned briefly your wife, but she was the one that encouraged you to go full-fledged into.
Couldn't have done it without her.
Yes.
Couldn't have done it without.
So talk about the importance of having, there's some people that are single out there, but talk about the importance of having your wife, your partner on board with what you're trying to do.
Well, especially when you're doing full time. I couldn't have done it without her income supplementing our income in order to go out, and it just gives you more room to err. I mean, because she's making a good income, so she could pay the bills while this is getting on its feet. I wouldn't have done that if it was just me. I couldn't have done it if it was just me. I would still be working and doing this.
So in terms of, I know there's like a little bit of male ego going on sometimes. So at any point, did your wife make more than what you make?
No.
Okay.
But I could handle that.
Okay.
I mean, I got out of prison and, she was the sole income. So
Okay.
I can handle that. I can handle that. But that would be a different dynamic.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a different dynamic.
All right. So do you all have any children?
Oh, they're grown.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are they into real estate?
No. No,
Well,
they're not.
I wish y'all could have seen his face. I hope we got that on camera.
No, they should be, but they aren't.
So why is it so hard to get our children on board with investing in real estate?
I'm gonna blame it on my leadership.
I appreciate you taking accountability for that.
I'm gonna take accountability for that, because I preach it. They say they don't like my delivery. And it's funny that, I had a daughter when she came and sat in with my last class. She actually was impressed with people listening to me. This is the same stuff I tell her all the time, but she was impressed. She's like, they really was listening to you, Daddy. And I was like, yeah, I actually know what I'm doing.
I know a few
She
things.
said, well, next, she works at Ford. She said, so next time she gets one of those bonus checks, she says that she wants to invest in real estate. I hope it's the truth. Yeah, I hope it's the truth. But I don't get it.
Yeah, that's so good. So maybe, I don't know, because my son, he isn't into real estate either, but other people learning from you, her seeing that, now she's like, maybe.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping just to see that many people listening and asking the questions and me delivering the answers. And yeah, hopefully that sparks it, because she thinks that I'm always just hard on her. Like she should be doing this. I'm dad.
Well, and do you think, I'm not going to say society, but you go to college, you get a good job, and you work that job for 30, 40 years, and you retire. Do you think that our children have just bought into that? And now, since we're going down a different path, now this is like,
it's absolutely it. When especially in an environment like Ford. So the hierarchy, and what she sees is the person has been there 30 years with the easy jobs that like in charge of putting the floor mats in. That's it. That's what I want. Instead of just listening to me, like, okay, you won't even make it here long enough to be putting floor mats in. So she could really cut off some time. Really. Especially making that type of money. She's making way more money than I was making at Brown Forman.
Right.
So she could definitely cut some time off. All she has to do is
listen to her dad.
Yeah.
So tell us about these classes. What kind of classes do you have? How can people get involved with these classes?
Oh man,
what are you teaching?
We have 10 different classes that we're going to be teaching, and we have 2 different mentorships.
Okay.
We're starting with getting started, learning real estate 101, when it's just the basic principles of why you get into real estate. The second one is let's see, we've got layout training, navigating government agencies. We've got contractors 101 and 202.
You got your little university going on over here.
Yeah. I'm really, we've been working really hard on this a long time. It's going to break it down in each aspect of what you need when you're trying to get into real estate. It's going to simplify it. We're going to do, they're going to be like 2-hour classes, hour and a half to 2 hours. Some of them are going to be online, like analyzing deals is going to be online. That's really important, really important. How to build your team, what parts do you need? That's a whole class. So these are the things that I've learned over the years that's going to simplify. I've got 4 different mentees that I'm actually working with now. All of them have deals now.
Oh, okay.
I've only been working with one lady. She's less than 10 days. She was under contract.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she's a go-getter. She's definitely a go-getter. And I'm working with a couple, and we actually close Tuesday on their deal, and they're going to get their first rental. So it takes the fear out. Most people are just afraid, but really once you get over the fear, you're going to learn exponentially on each deal.
So what do you hear the most? So there is fear. I would definitely agree with you that that's like the number one obstacle. What are some of the other obstacles that stop people from just getting started investing in real estate?
Well, most people have some credit issues to work through. It's just like buying houses or anything. They know that they can't go to the bank and conventionally start and do this. The people that I take on as mentees, they might have good credits, good job, but they can't go out and borrow money because they don't have the experience. So what they need is someone to co-sign with them to go to lenders in order to make them more attractive as buyers.
So you mean you can't just go to a lender and them loan you, $20,000 to start flipping a property? You can't do that?
Absolutely not. In fact, they're going to laugh at you. Most conventional, like, I even posted about this, you're like your Republic banks, your Truist, your Fifth Third, they're not friendly banks when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. Chase.
Yeah, they're not friendly. I mean, you might, once you become established and you get a real banker and you can really talk to someone higher up and they can move some hurdles. But the little guy walking in and say, you know what, I want to flip a house right down here. Can I do it? The next door to me. I want to buy the house next door and fix it. No, you can't.
So you can't just watch HGTV and then start.
No.
How has HGTV hurt the real estate investor market?
Well, for one, they don't know the scope of the work. If you watch a show,
23 minutes,
they do a demo. They come back from commercial. Everything's all cleaned up. All the framing's done. The HVAC's been done. I mean, it's really easy. They think it's really easy. It's not. That's months between, what you see there. And when watching HGTV, those numbers, they're not our numbers. Especially because, you watch those in California, they're talking about, oh, we're buying this house for $380,000. It's a complete gut job. 300,000? And we're going to put 180,000 in it and we're going to sell it for 1.2 million. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, so
right.
It's crazy. So our market is way friendlier. That's the reason why you see so many institutions coming in the Midwest, New York, California, Vegas, they're all investing in our neighborhoods. That's the reason why you see a company from Texas buy up 273 properties in the West End, and we're just giving them away.
Right.
So that's a whole nother podcast.
Right. So what should I do if I'm currently wanting to get started investing in real estate and I need a mentor or I need some direction? I've been listening to podcasts. I've been reading some books. I'm looking at YouTube. Like, what should be my next step in order to work with you? Like, what is your ideal student? Who is your ideal student?
I would say get in those groups like CREA. It's a lot of groups. I know Frank Miller, they have a group that meets on first Tuesdays or Thursdays or something. There's all kinds of people doing it. Just go up there and make yourself readily available to them. There's always somebody that's got some type of course or mentorship going on. Mine, I'm just now starting, so it's probably the most cost efficient one. But you want to look at podcasts like Bigger Pockets and just keep your knowledge up. Ask people that have done it. I don't care if they only done one house. What would you have done different? Where'd you get the money from? I mean, that person that's only done one deal, he's done one more deal than you, and the learning curve is tremendous. Now, the guy who's doing 10 deals, he probably won't talk to you and won't give you too much time because time is an of essence. And people, I used to talk about real estate all the time with people and, go back 2 years and then they haven't done anything. That's so I was on the phone with you for 3 hours and you never did anything. So you think about that time. If I pay myself $200 an hour, you cost me $600 with that conversation, but you never did anything with it. So that's the reason why I started, charging.
Because the people, why is it's so much you got to pay in order to pay attention? That part.
It is. Free, people don't respect free. They don't. I could tell you something a million times, but as soon as you had to pay for it, you're going to have to act on it.
Right. So now it's different.
Yeah,
That's some kind of way because I paid
triggers.
you.
I pay. Now I have to do it.
Right.
And it rings true. It rings true.
Yeah, that's so good. And so what's the importance of when I first, started in Korea and all this, people were like, oh, real estate is a relationship business. How important are relationships in investing in real estate?
Relationships is important in everything.
Right.
I mean, it was crazy. I was my first goal was to get 10 rental properties, get them paid off, and ride off into the sunset. That was it. That was it. It wasn't. I wasn't really active in Korea. I actually belonged to Korea, but I didn't go to the meetings. I didn't mingle. I didn't talk to people. My cousin Adisha, who I was mentoring her because I'd had about 6 properties going, and she said she wanted to start. Hours and hours on the phone, and then she said, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." 2 weeks later, she has a duplex. She bought it online in the online auction. I was like, "Wow, this is a great deal." She said, "Can you GC the project for me?" At that time, I had done any other GC on any other products except for mine.
General contractor.
General contractor. Okay. So I was like, okay, I could do that. I could do that. I can oversee it, and I'll show you how to actually run the project. And this is the first time that I actually did the general contractor without it doing any work. So it was actually a stepping stone for me to manage people, graduate to managing people instead of working with people. So when I did that, turned out well. She still has that property. It's a cash flowing property. She refinanced it and it's doing great. She went to Korea and she's a mingler. She's in corporate America. And so she knows how to work a room. And she comes back from one of those meetings and she says, "You need to meet Chris McCarty." Okay. She sets up the meeting. This is the lady I've been mentoring. She sets up the meeting. I meet them at Starbucks, and I left that meeting as a flipper. So that changed so it was all about relationships. So then I was like, well, maybe I need to go to Korea more, because it's all about the relationships. So now I know everybody. Everybody knows me. And it's because those relationships makes it easier for deals to get done. If you're known as a closer, like people automatically come to me if they have a deal in the West End because of my ability to close. If I like the deal, they know if I like the deal, we'll be able to close. So that's how I get deals. This house I'm doing on Del Park, wholesaler knows another wholesaler who says, okay, this house is in the West End. I don't think I'm gonna be able. Let me call Tony. I call it. I'll get that. I'll get it.
Right.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'll get it. I won't get it for what you want for it. I think he wanted 45 and we settled on 32.
Okay.
So that makes my numbers work.
Right.
And we'll do good on that house.
So you mean you don't have to, if a property is listed for $45,000, you mean you don't have to offer them $45,000?
Absolutely not. It's the reason why it's off. I mean, they want 45. I mean, they don't expect to get that. I hope not.
Right.
Yeah. And I just don't lowball people just to say I'm lowballing people. They have to leave the meat on the bone in order for it to make sense.
So do you have like an amount that,
okay. Oh yeah. Because I know most wholesalers don't know how much the rehab costs and they don't know how to figure up the ARV. They shoot out numbers. I don't know where they get those numbers.
I know. And after you said you started educating wholesalers, and I started educating wholesalers because I'm like, let me help you out.
Because because then they don't know,
right?
And when they get something under contract, they might be thinking about houses in Shively. Okay, this house the ARV on this is probably 165,000. It's not 165,000. It's not. Okay, so. And then some of them will tell you, it's like, okay, we want 80,000 for it. The ARV is 145. I mean,
and it needs $100,000 worth of work.
Like, where did you get the? I mean, come on. Right. It only needs $10,000 worth of work, and you go in there and you see the roof, and it's completely gone.
And it's been gone for like months, and it's been raining.
All the windows are broke.
Right. It only needs $10,000 worth of work. So real quick before we go, the importance of adding value, because I feel like your cousin Adisha, when you were saying that, she was able to say, hey, you need to do this. So not only are you able to teach people, how important is it for them to bring value to you?
I look at every person that I come in contact with, no matter the level of expertise, is we're going to do a deal together. If we ever do a deal together, I want them to be comfortable with me. So when I'm teaching, I'm like, we could be able to be partners on a deal. And that's the best thing. We have to, you can't just come and take somebody's time. You're gonna have to bring value. I teach you how to analyze a deal. It takes a half hour. I'll teach you how to analyze a deal. Then you do all the legwork. I'm not gonna look for the deal for you, and then show you how to run the project and all that. No, you have to bring the deal to the table, and I'll show you how to work it. I'll take you to get the funding. I'll show you how to do the layout and how to pull permits and all of that, all of those things that are important to the project, but you're going to have to do the work. And once people realize it, it's really simple. It's not easy, but it's simple.
Right.
What we're going to do is we're going to buy it a certain amount. We're going to put a certain amount in it, and we're going to sell or refinance it. That's it. It's very simple. It's nothing, no rock, no Bitcoin, no how it actually works. It's very simple, and it's been working for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we just have to take a part of it.
So how, if we got people out there and they're like, man, I want to work with Anthony, I want to take one of his classes, I want to get more knowledge from him, how can the people find you?
Facebook. I post it. We're probably going to put a big campaign next month. We're going to have all 10 classes.
Okay.
Yeah, next month. Yeah.
So is there a certificate once you finish all 10 classes?
What? I'll tell you what. I'm going to put your name at the bottom of it. You're like, okay, you got the Red Door certificate. I never thought of that, but yeah, it would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool if it actually meant something. I know a lot of people that got degrees that don't mean anything.
My degree is in accounting. I hired an accountant. I don't want to do it. Almost like with your GC. Like I don't want to do that. Yeah. I don't appreciation. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, but as for the length of time that you've been in the business, to write a book, start a podcast, a weekly television show.
This is about you. No, we're not. This is about you, not me.
This is crazy. That's crazy. I was like, wow, really? You got a book, and you go to Korea and you got your own table. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So the people can reach you on Facebook. Is it Anthony Silver, Red Door?
Anthony Silver or Red Door Properties Group, not to be confused with Red Door Investments, which is Marcus Britton. We're actually two different people, two different companies.
I thought maybe y'all work together.
It's funny. We actually started our companies around the same time, like March of 2007. I think it's like days apart, and we're two different companies. And I met him about, I guess it's been about 2 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
2 years ago. And we've been friends ever since. We don't get mad when people think that we're together because he's doing good work and I'm doing good work. Now, if he was out there just beating people, I was like, look, we're different. We're different. That guy's a bum. No, but that guy he's really genuine. He's helped me a lot. He helps a lot of other people. We do the same things. Like he's done new construction, whereas I haven't.
Okay.
He is completely hold. He doesn't want to sell anything, whereas I want to sell some things with some balance. He wants to refinance it and keep it forever and let it cash flow. That's his whole thing. Because he comes from Nashville, where they gentrified the area, and then those houses, if he had held on to some of those houses, he looks at it like, man, that house is now worth, say, $500,000, and I was less than $150,000 in. The wealth that he would have accumulated. So he gets nervous if he has to sell something.
Okay.
Yeah. So whereas I have to sell something in order to make income.
There was a house somebody posted on Korea in Nashville, and that makes me want to send it over to him since he was from there. He probably still has some connections down there.
Yeah, he's a really good investor, man, and he's all about relationships. He's that connector.
Okay.
Hey, do you have a roofer? Yeah, I got one. Or a lender for refinance. He knows somebody, and he doesn't mind sharing. There's a lot of people in this business will never share anything with you. They'll smile in your face and give you the contractor that burned them.
Ooh,
Yeah, happens all the time.
wow.
You're like, okay, this guy that you don't want to use anymore, he's recommending him to you.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
All right. So if we wanted to sum up this entire conversation, what is the one thing that you want our listeners to walk away from this with?
Just take the next step. Wherever you are, just take the next step. Some people are a little further along than others. If credit is an issue, then clean up your credit. If money is an issue, then save a few dollars. Always obtain education, reading, gleaning from other people, get around like-minded people. But just take the next step. If you have good credit and money and you haven't taken that step, you have to. You have to. Even if you fail miserably, you'll learn more from failing than you will from not doing anything. Like I consider my first rental a failure because I over rehabbed. I worked every day in it. But even in that failure, we were able to put a tenant in there. It cash flowed. I got the worst possible financing ever. I was paying 14% interest with no rehab money. It was horrible. I made all those mistakes, but at the end of the day, I sold it at a profit.
Mm.
Your GC, she actually bought the house. She brought the buyer, DeAndrea. She brought the buyer to that first rental property that I had, and I made about $60,000 at the end of the day.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I made every mistake that known to man. I promise you, I did. But we made it through it. So you just got to take that next step.
All right. You heard it right here. Take the next step. Thank you so much, Anthony Silver, for joining us on the Dana Spencer Show. Until next time.